Shalom and greetings from Jerusalem, Jane. I want to say up front, I don't have a lot of voice, and I'm not going to apologize for the words, the language that I'm going to use in this video. There are some breaking news coming out of Israel, and I want to get back to that because it's devastating and it's just shattering my heart. And it's standing in a strong contrast to the crocodile tears that was shed in the United Nations by the representative of Palestine, the PLO. You see, he was crying, bursting out in tears from the suffering from the Palestinian children inside Gaza. Hamas took over the Gaza Strip after thousands of Jews were forcefully evicted out of their God-given homelands, and they turned the Gaza Strip into the biggest terror nest in the world. They did that with great support from the innocent civilians inside Gaza. You see, it doesn't matter if your name is Hamas, Fatah, PLO, Islamic Jihad. They are all supporting the eradication of Israel and the Jewish people. Evil have many faces, many names, but it has the same father. So the Palestinian children that he was crying over in Gaza, but also in Judea and Samaria, are being born into families, being fed with breast milk, that you need to liberate Palestine and to murder the Jews. That's what they see when they are watching children's program on TV. That's what they're being taught when they go to school, reading the incitement and the lies in UNRWA books. That's why they are performing plays in schools instead of any play from Hans Christian Andersen. They are performing plays how to murder Israeli soldiers, how to kidnap Israeli soldiers into Gaza, and how to murder the Jewish people and liberate Palestine. That's why we see every summer, year after year, that 50,000 children inside Gaza are in full military uniform, in camps, in summer camps, learning how to liberate Palestine and storm into Israel. That's why these children are being taught, if you go out and you murder a Jew, you become a martyr, you become a hero. We will name a playground after you. We will name a soccer stadium after you. We will have big posters. And when you murder a Jew, you become a hero. If you survive, you go to jail and you get thousands and thousands of dollars into your bank account every month for murdering a Jew. Your family will get paid for murdering a Jew. It's good business. That's why when Hamas carried out the attack on October 7, you saw the people inside Gaza was cheering and celebrating when thousands of rockets were flying into Israel, and then they breached the border and they carried out the worst massacre since October 7. They broke into the home of an elder lady who was lying in bed. They snatched her phone, they went on her Facebook, and they live streamed the murder of her. They burned babies. They gang raped women in front of their men and children. They zip-tied whole families and they executed them. They burned them. The worst atrocities, with the cheer of the children inside Gaza, with the cheer of the civilians inside Gaza. And they also took part in the looting after 5,000 terrorists breached into Israel. These children are being brought up in an environment and a cult of hate, of incitement. It's more important for them to murder Jews than it is to have a good life for themselves. Before the October 7 massacre, many people inside Gaza went into Israel and they worked in Israel every day. So they got their Palestinian state. Every Jew was removed. They turned it into the biggest terror nest in the world. They brought up their children, they raised their children to murder the Jews and liberate Palestine, even though they are in a liberated Palestine. People inside Gaza went into Israel and they made a good living. They made money, earning money every day, home to their families in Gaza. Sick children in Gaza went into Israel year after year, getting treated in Israeli hospitals. So what did the people from Gaza do who worked in Israel? They gathered intelligence and they brought it home to Hamas, so they knew the layout of the kibbutzim before they brutally attacked on October 7. These are the children that this representative was crying over inside Gaza. Who are we crying over here in Israel? Let me show you. The breaking news came out today. You all remembered the horrific terror attack that I shared about a couple of weeks ago about this young mother. Forgive me if I'm not pronouncing her name correct. Tzeela Gez. She was pregnant with her 4th child. It was a baby boy. They already had 3. And she was on the way to the hospital to give birth in labor when she was savagely killed in a heinous terror attack. She was rushed to the hospital and her baby boy was delivered in a cesarean C-section. And he has been fighting for his life ever since. He was named Ravid Chaim. That was the wish of his mother. He passed away this morning. The family released this photo of his father. He was brutally shot in the womb of his mother. She was shot in that horrific terror attack, and he was fighting for his life. These are the children that we are crying over here in Israel. The children who is being murdered by Palestinians who need to liberate Palestine. It's a cult of death and destruction. Time and time again, we have these horrific terror attacks. Every day when I'm looking at my Facebook, the memories coming up on my Facebook, I see how many thousands and thousands of videos I have made giving news out of Israel and speaking about rocket attacks and shooting attacks and stoning attacks, ramming attacks. 7 years ago, we had 100 rockets raining in one day, and one of the shrapnel from that rocket hit a kindergarten in the southern part of Israel. 4 years ago, we had 3,000 rockets raining in from Hamas terrorists. And 6 years ago, they were out saying, we're going to eradicate the Jewish people. We are going to storm the borders. And Hamas released a music video that came out with this singer saying, we are going to bomb Tel Aviv. We're going to murder the Jewish people. So this is something that they have been planning for years and years and years. And then they carried out the attack on October 7. Since then, I want to show you this. Look at the numbers that the Israeli military has facilitated into Gaza. Look at the amount of aid, of food, provision for shelter that has been brought into the Gaza Strip. Food, 1.349 ton of food. Medical supplies, almost 46,000 ton. Water, 60 ton of water. And all of this was up until May 23rd. Of course, now there has been more brought in. So Israel is bringing food, shelter, things for shelter, tents into the Gaza Strip for the children in Gaza who has been brought up, raised up to murder the Jews, who has celebrated every time rockets were raining into Israel, who's celebrating when we have terror attack and Jewish children are being brutally murdered. The Israeli military, who has brought provision into hospitals in Gaza, the hospitals that Hamas turned into terror nests, the schools, the mosque, the playground, all used by Hamas so they could attack Israel with the full support of the innocent civilians. Murder the Jews, it's a big business. And by the way, the Palestinian cause has its own branch in the United Nations, UNRWA. Billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars has been poured in over the years through UNRWA to the Palestinian refugees. What a joke. There's not one other cause or one other nation that has received the amount of money that has been poured in to UNRWA, to the Palestinian Authority, to Hamas, all into their hands, completely embedded with Hamas inside the Gaza Strip. Where did a lot of that money go? To the corrupt leadership. Terrorist Yasser Arafat died with hundreds of millions that he had stolen over the years, passed on to his fake wife in Paris. Abu Mazen and his family, how many millions do they have on the account? So the money that's being donated is going into the hands of the corrupt Palestinian leadership. So when this representative is sitting crying tears over Palestinian children suffering in Gaza, they have received more aid than anyone through history. During this war, the Israeli military have facilitated tons of aid to them. Hamas loots it, they steal it. Other videos are coming out from the Gaza Strip of people eating with a lot of fruit and vegetable on local markets from their own lips saying there is no starvation in Gaza. So while we are crying over this young baby who fought for his life 2 weeks after his mother was brutally murdered in labor on the way to give birth to him, because this Palestinian cause is raising their children to liberate Palestine, to send rockets into Israel after they got their own free Palestinian state. We are crying and mourning over the loss of our children who's being brutally murdered for no other reason than being Jewish. So spare me your crocodile tears in the United Nations. You want to cry about suffering for the Palestinian children in Gaza? Well, that was brought on by Hamas. There would have had been no death, anything inside the Gaza Strip if Hamas has not carried out that brutal onslaught on Israel on October 7, and they're stealing the aid. You want to cry about something? You want to complain about something? You complain about Hamas. They are the reason that we have that situation right now in the Gaza Strip after the Jewish people evacuated out of the Gaza Strip was forcefully removed so you could have your Palestinian state. And even after that, Israel took in sick children from Gaza being treated in hospitals, and people got jobs inside Israel, paying laborers coming in from Gaza every day, and they used that information to go and give to Hamas so they could carry out the onslaught on October 7. It is simply unbelievable. And throughout all of this, the failing mainstream media has bought every lie coming up from Gaza about the death toll, about starvation, about Israel shooting rockets into a hospital when that was terrorists inside Gaza. And they have inflamed, and it has been proven again and again, the high casualty number is a lie. It was not that many people who died. They just quickly adjusted that number and it barely got any media coverage. So that's the story. The Palestinian cause have received billions and billions of dollars from you, taxpayers around the world. For what? so they can continue to teach their children and incite their children to go and murder the Jews. It's unbelievable. And now we have another Jewish family who already buried their beautiful young mother and wife, now has to go back to the same cemetery and bury little baby Chaim, murdered in the womb of his mother, fighting for his life for 2 days, for 2 weeks. While your money around the world from your government is going into the Palestinian Authority, who's paying these vile terrorists to murder Jewish babies. While any suffering inside Gaza is completely caused by Hamas in their blood genocidal lust for the murder of Jewish children. Just speaking from my heart a little bit, having to make some breaks because I'm coughing and I have a weak voice. So I'm sending my deepest condolences to this family who now lost a baby boy. There should have been a happy family, a mother, a father, 4 boys. Now there is a father and 3 boys left because they were brutally murdered by Palestinian terrorists on the way to the hospital to give birth. My name is Jerusalem Jane. I will always stand with Israel and share the news, views and truth to the world when the mainstream media is buying the lies from Hamas, falling into their traps over and over again. Bye.